feels crazy to me. In December of 2022, I had a dream about my ex from 2019. In the dream, there were many people preparing for a trip. I didn't recognize the house or the people, except for my ex. He was following me around while I packed. I didn't know what I was packing for at the time, but he kept saying, "We have to go, we have to go." This went on for a while until I realized we were in an empty airport heading to a plane. The plane was dark, with the only light coming from the open door at the back where people were boarding. Inside the plane, there was a solid black wall at the front, almost like a black hole. Everyone sat facing it. My ex was sitting next to me, and I was in the aisle seat. As the plane started to take off, I asked him, "Where are we going?" He replied, "Arizona." I panicked, saying, "Arizona? I don't know anyone there." Feeling uneasy and anxious, I decided I couldn't go, so I headed towards the back of the plane, which was now open with escalators and stairs covered in velvet flooring, like the entrance to an opera auditorium. At the top, there was someone like a bellboy, but I walked past and found myself back in the same house from the beginning of the dream. My ex was there on the sidewalk, looking very healthy. I apologized, saying I didn't know anyone in Arizona. He smiled, turned, and walked away. He got into a brown old Cadillac with someone in the driver's seat. They drove off. I woke up sweating and completely confused. I decided to look him up on Facebook. It turned out there was a memorial on his page indicating his passing 2 days prior. I feel like he was trying to take me with him. As a child, I grew up watching horror movies with my older sister. I always had a sense that hauntings could be real. However, it wasn't until I played with a Ouija board with that same sister that I became a true believer. At the age of 13, I conducted a seance to contact my great-grandfather. Years later, I discovered that he had died suddenly, and his father, my great-great-grandfather, had been murdered in the 1800s when he immigrated to Canada from the UK. I vividly remember the planchette moving around after we asked some forbidden questions, like, "How did you die?" My sister became frightened and urged me to stop moving it. We abruptly ended the session without properly saying goodbye. As the years passed and my sister moved out, I found myself as a deeply depressed teenager. Strange occurrences began happening in my home. Glasses would smash in the kitchen, the rocking chair would rock on its own, and I witnessed a kitchen chair being dragged across the floor and positioned as if someone were sitting in it, watching me. I often felt a chilling sensation of being watched in the basement, where the seance had taken place. Once, a book fell on my head, seemingly out of nowhere. There were other times when I was awakened by my dog barking, only to find myself alone in the house, with the bedroom door opening by itself and pushing against me as if someone were trying to enter. These experiences left me feeling terrified and convinced that there was a presence in my home, unseen but undeniably real. Around half a decade ago, when I was living in my old house at the age of 7, I had some experiences that I'd like to share with you. The first one occurred when I woke up unusually early, around 4:30 a.m. Unable to fall back asleep, I headed downstairs to the living room to play on my Xbox until my dad woke up and breakfast was ready. As I turned on the console, I noted that my brother had left a game in it. I wanted to play a different one. When I went to eject the disc and replace it, a sudden gust of wind hit my ear, as if someone were blowing directly into it. It was still dark, no windows or doors were open, and I was facing away from the console when it happened. But that wasn't the most perplexing experience. The second one occurred late at night, around 9 p.m., which was late for me at the time. I was tucked into bed with my blanket up to my eyes, only able to see glimpses of the room. The hallway was lit because the bathroom light was on. I could see a small area of the top corner of my door. Just before drifting off to sleep, that tiny area went dark and then back to light, as if someone had passed by. I ruled out the possibility of it being my brother or dad, because they were both in different parts of the house, and there was no accompanying sound of footsteps on the noisy stairs. The final experience, perhaps the strangest, occurred around 8 a.m. I had just woken up but wasn't fully ready to get up. I kept drifting in and out of sleep. Suddenly, I felt a tug of about 5 centimeters down my bed. It wasn't alarming at the time. I simply got up without much thought. However, that incident leaves me feeling unsettled. It wasn't a slip or a movement caused by me. That tug, it felt like a genuine tug, as if somebody was in my room